Welcome to Rock Solid, the Round Rock Business Leaders Podcast. Join your host, Bryan Eisenberg, as he explores the journeys of entrepreneurs and companies across Round Rock, Texas. From startups and nonprofits to large organizations, each guest shares their passion for doing business in this thriving community. Let's dive in.
Hi, everybody. It's Bryan Eisenberg. Welcome to Rock Solid. I'm joined today by Anita Steenson from the SBA Office of Recovery and, you put it, Resilience. And I kind of love that. Let's talk about that part first, because I'm very curious why the resilience part, because it's such an important word in general, right? That I don't think people prioritize it enough. But I love the fact that you're using that as part of the office title. Right.
Well, it's so interesting because when you call somebody on the phone and you introduce yourself, it's, I'm Anita Steenson with the U.S. Small Business Administration Office of Recovery and Resilience. You have to take 3 deep breaths just to announce yourself. It's a mouthful,
yeah.
And we go by the short term ODR&R, Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. See, I even forgot part of it as I was saying it. And it is a big part of what we do because, first of all, we're a specialized unit of the Small Business Administration, and we have specialized resources, which, we can talk about that when you're ready for that. But it is really key to what we offer because it's all about getting back up and at 'em.
And better.
And better.
Yeah.
And so we get the economy back on its feet and moving forward bigger, better, faster. And that's really what the spirit of what we do is all about.
And we're sitting here today because there's an upcoming deadline that I know when we had Judge Gravel here from the SBA as well, he had just come back from seeing the floods, up north. And there's a deadline coming up. Can you talk about what that's all about?
Sure. So first of all, I would just like to say that the Office of Disaster of Recovery and Resilience, we have specialized resources that a lot of people are not aware of because of the name, U.S. Small Business Administration. And whenever there's a disaster declared, we are authorized to provide funds to not only our traditional businesses and nonprofits, but homeowners and renters.
Yeah, that's the part that I think most people have no idea about.
Right, and it's so important that we get this messaging out and into the community because we have amazing resources, and that is why I'm just so grateful that you're having us here today. And I know Judge Bill Gravel, was very instrumental in getting this information and messaging out back in July. And here we are in November. Yeah. And the important date that we have is November 27th. We are already well past the deadline, and we are actually in the grace period. Okay. And our survivors, that's homeowners, renters, businesses, and nonprofits, only have until November 27th to file their applications for physical damages, and that's to get assistance with recovery resources with the U.S. Small Business Administration.
So I've 2 questions on that. So, a lot of times we hear when there's a disaster, we hear about FEMA, which is obviously another government organization. And I'm wondering, some people may look for them for some solutions. But then I'm also wondering, why isn't it that people are stepping up and saying, hey, I need help in reaching out to the SBA? So maybe it's 1 question, 2 questions. I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe you can help clarify that.
Sure, they're all good questions because FEMA is what we call our resource partner. Okay. And we encourage everybody to apply for both. And as a matter of fact, the deadline of November 27th is also a grace period deadline for FEMA resources. So I would encourage everybody to apply for both sets of resources. Okay. There are not many, if any, resources for businesses and nonprofits with FEMA, but certainly everybody should not hesitate to apply for both. And the way people can apply for SBA resources is very easy. It's to go to www.sba.gov/disaster. Okay, and the way people can apply for FEMA resources is to go to FEMA.gov.com or FEMA.gov. So those are very simple, straightforward ways to apply, especially at this late date. So I think the reason why people are hesitant is, first of all, FEMA funds are grants, and the Small Business Administration offers loans. So that's the first big difference. However, I would point out that our loans are low-interest loans. And, for example, we offer, and our funds are quite a bit more substantial. For example, the maximum grant, and I don't want to speak too much on FEMA, is in the neighborhood of $45,000. The maximum amount of money an individual homeowner can receive from the U.S. Small Business Administration is $500,000, plus an additional $100,000 for personal property, plus an additional 20% for mitigation funds. So that's
significant.
That's a life-altering difference. In addition to that, small businesses and nonprofits can access up to $2 million. And as I said, FEMA has recently changed their regulations, so there is some small ability for people who have at-home businesses to access some sort of resources within the range of what I stated before, grant money. So that's the big difference, and I think people shy away from that. But the interest rates are, for example, we're talking about 2.8% for homeowners, stretched out over 30 years. For businesses, we're talking 4%. For nonprofits, we're talking about 3.625%. In addition to that, they're very trauma-informed. What am I talking about when I say that? Our loans, and this is specifically, our administrator and, the immediate previous administrators changed the regulations that apply to these type of loans to take into consideration that our disaster survivors have undergone a trauma. So there is no interest that accrues on any of these loans in the first 12 months, and no payments are required for 12 months.
So giving you time to get back on your feet.
Exactly. So there's no cost to apply. There are no application fees. There is no obligation to take these loans. So there's very little downside, if any, for people to
raise their hand, say, I
apply.
may need help. Yeah.
So that's why I'm just so passionate, as you can probably tell, about our programs.
Rock Solid is produced and recorded at Round Rock Studio. Located right here in Round Rock, our state-of-the-art studio is built for podcasters and creatives alike. We offer multiple professionally designed podcast sets, top-notch recording gear, and a full photography studio ready for any project. Whether you're launching a new podcast or upgrading your existing one, we can help with multi-camera recording, editing, and everything you need for success. Record with us at Round Rock Studio, your local podcasting partner.
I got a little background on you, and I know that passion comes from a lot of your personal history as well. You've had your fair share of disasters, and let's dive into that a little bit, because as you said, you travel all over the country dealing with all kinds of different disasters. LA fires, here are the floods. What drives you and your team to want to do that?
Well, I guess it's this is a second career for me, and it's an overall feeling and understanding of gratitude, of having a big picture vision of there but for the grace of God, or having been there. And actually, my colleagues, most of us who work in this field, this particular branch of the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience, you ask about that word, are steeped in
resilience,
an experience who brought us to this field. Many people are recruited from disasters, have been through and survived and come out the other side and have a deep well of compassion and connectivity to our survivors and can bring that to bear.
Yeah, I mean, I know you mentioned, I think you mentioned you were in Katrina.
I was actually in Andrew, which predates Katrina.
Okay.
I've been in many. Some of my colleagues tease me. I was in Andrew, living in South Florida at the time. Happened to be living up in New England during 9/11. Had many, as a child living in New England, many of who knew it was a disaster, back in the day when nor'easters, hit you and 9 feet of snow, covered your front door and so
it was
on
fun
and so
building
forth.
the snow tunnels and castles when you were a kid, but yeah.
Correct.
But you don't realize the economic impact that all of that had.
Right. And I remember, as a matter of fact, the place I grew up had on 95, there were toll booths. And I remember one particular, my dad used to drive to a factory. He was a factory worker, and he used to have to drive through 2 tolls every day back and forth to work, and a tractor trailer hit and exploded. And that kind of a thing, and just always like wondering, if your dad, was going to come home, and, those were things that just happened like locally. And nowadays I see that my particular office, that's something that we would handle as a local disaster. SBA, as a matter of fact, we handle things like that, and did handle things like that, like the Baltimore Bridge, when the bridge got hit not too long ago. That's something that SBA handles as a separate type of disaster, whereas that's not something that FEMA would be involved in. Our administrator has the authority to declare disasters separate and apart from FEMA. So
learn something new every day.
I know. The U.S. Small Business Administration Office of Disaster Recovery is an amazing place, and we have the ability to assist survivors in all types of different types of economic injury recovery. And you can see how, and heard on the national news, how impactful that was to the economy around and in the Baltimore, Maryland area. But yet that was not something nationally significant, so that FEMA, it wasn't a natural disaster.
Got it.
So that it would invoke the same legal authorities that FEMA would get involved in. So
now, you've been doing this for a while, and I'm just curious, could you share maybe one business, one family that you helped out, that their story just sticks with you even till today, and, like what happened, how did you come in to help, and where they are now?
Oh gosh. Well, I can't think of one in particular from a while ago, but I'm a little hesitant in that because I hope it turns out okay. But I'm currently with a a particular survivor here in Texas that I'm working with a gentleman, and I'll just leave it at that right now, who reached out, and I'm kind of assisting him, and I'll have to kind of maybe check back with you and hope that his journey gets him to success. But he has a home, and his business. He told me I'm helping him because he had some issue with getting his documents uploaded, and he needed some help with taking photographs and uploading. And so he reached out, and he happened to be, he's in Travis County, and he happened to be driving through, I'm staying in the Georgetown area. And so my office asked if I'd be willing to meet with him so he didn't have to drive down to Kerrville, which is where one of our centers was located, because as time has gone by, the centers have closed down. And so I was more than happy to do that because it got a little frustrating for him. And so it was a little tricky because, as it turned out, you had to stand right over the document and
just take clean.
It was just one of those persnickety. Here, how's that for a word? Is that an old-fashioned word for you?
That's a good word. I like it.
And so we were able to do it because he kept hitting a roadblock in all this great technology we have, right? And so I told him to go ahead and keep my number, and if he ran into any other little stumblings. And so he called me the other day, and he got some kind of an error code, and it stopped him. And he said, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "Well, to me, that means just keep going." And I had him call our 800 number, and I thought I said to him, "Maybe you should have a cup of coffee ready in case, it's a long wait time." And he called me back, and he said, it was a 7-second wait, and I was real happy to hear that.
Awesome.
And he told me that the problem was his credit was frozen, and he thought he had unfrozen his wife's credit. His credit, but it was his wife's credit. So I was like, okay, good. That was not a us issue. And he took care of that, and he's proceeding along. So I asked him if he could just keep in touch with me and tell me how he's going, because I like to hear how our system is actually working for folks.
Yeah, no, and that's much appreciated, because I think a lot of times, people think of government workers and they don't hear the passion. They think they're just monotonous, just getting their job done. But this is obviously a huge passion for you. I kind of want to swing in a little bit of a different direction, because, huge passion for Bill is hurricanes. He's a former weatherman in the military. And so I'm sure you've also dealt with some of the hurricanes.
Oh, yes.
What are some of the big concerns that you see when you come in to help in a community that's been struck by a hurricane?
Oh, yes. Well, my most recent hurricanes were Hurricane Fiona. I've worked, our office is divided into East and West. Okay. The country is divided into the East and West, just to make it a little more manageable. So it's called Field Office East and West, and I've had the privilege to work both sides of the country. And I'm actually recent to the West, and my initiation was the LA fires. So my most recent, before I came to the West, was working Hurricane Fiona, which was in Puerto Rico. And that was before the Hurricane Helene and all of that devastated the East Coast. I was there for all of that also. But the things, the difference I can say about the type of weather, the extreme weather is what we call it. Yeah. Extreme weather disasters versus other types of disasters is hurricanes and that sort of, you get a little more notice.
Okay.
With hurricanes. You can never tell quite exactly what they're going to do, but you do get a little more notice, whereas I've noticed the different types of extreme weather that we get on the West Coast in FOC East is it tends to be a little more sudden and unpredictable. Things like the tornadoes, they're actually much better with the tornadoes and being able to predict those. I have noticed just in the 5 years since I've been doing this. But what I can tell you, having experienced the LA fires, which are fire tornadoes, is with the Santa Ana winds, and that is, when the winds get a hold of those embers and those wildfires, and I've not, in the not too distant past, been involved in the Oklahoma wildfires, which were your neighbors a little to the north. Is my geography correct with that? Okay, I get a little confused. I travel so much. So Oklahoma is to our north. That can be unpredictable when the wind picks up those embers, and the firefighters who fight those fires are some serious heroes. I mean, I've always thought firefighters were heroes, even in my schoolgirl days, but wildfire firefighters are some serious heroes. So getting back to your hurricanes, what I would say to people is this, and I probably was in the school of folks who maybe didn't take hurricanes as serious and thought, oh, we can ride these out. Do not ride these out. Weather has definitely changed in the last 5 years. Flooding is not to be trifled with. There's a lot of disease that's carried in floodwaters. There's a lot of danger that lurks beneath floodwaters. I've seen flooding hit places like Kentucky, the Carolinas. I just in this minute, I'm sitting here and I'm getting some flashback memories of things that I've seen in even where the the hurricanes have not had direct hits. Some of those surge waters, those outer band winds. Local officials are not kidding you.
You need to be prepared.
Don't be those old timers that want to just ride it out. There is not one piece of property, one memory, one photo that is worth the devastation and destruction.
Yeah,
and evacuate.
Yeah, you've seen it. You've seen it. On the ground. Lots of different disasters.
And don't wait, because the gridlock, the traffic, the stress, the aggravation, be proactive.
Yeah, appreciate that. If people want to have more questions about how the SBA can support them, in disaster recovery or resilience, what's the best way to get in touch with you or your office?
So our website is amazing. People should think about the SBA in all things, especially in resilience. We have a lot of free services.
Okay.
We have what's called the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, and these organizations are in every community, available all the time. And as I said, they're free services. And they're not only here for businesses and nonprofits, but they have all kinds of free services that will help disaster survivors. In every state and territory in the union, we have what's called a district office.
Okay.
And that is a small business representative, as well as we have, as you know, our regional advocates.
Yes.
And our regional administrative representatives. So
who've graced these chairs.
Exactly. And so the Small Business Administration has you covered from a regional level to a state level to mentorship programs. So all you ever have to do is type sba.gov. You could even type in sba.com as an error. And if you type in SBA disaster, you will get to the right place. And when there is a major catastrophe such as these Texas floodings, that will be highlighted on our webpage. Just as now we have the Alaska disaster, the terrible typhoons that have just hit Alaska. And folks, I think, have still or recently just all been airlifted. So they're just barely in the recovery phase. We are actually assisting them with subsistence camps. Can you imagine that? The SBA is offering assistance to help people set up subsistence camps. Do we not rock?
Yeah, we do. Well, let's remind everybody the 27th.
November 27th. And this is what I have to say to everybody. Apply. Just even if you're curious to see how it works, even if you're not sure if you're eligible, even if you're not sure if you think you want it, just check us out. See how we rock and roll. See how it works. And if it's something you might want for yourself now, or if it's something you might think you might need in the future. We have amazing specialists. We have every kind of language person you might need. If you get on the line, and all of our customer service numbers are on our website, and you need language assistance, just speak it, and they will get you whatever you need. So go to www.sba.gov/disaster.
Anita, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.